So this is a follow-up regarding the importance of Greenland and how it goes back to something biblical, okay? And this is in regards to that, okay? Donald Trump put a proclamation out about the Leif Erikson Day in 2017 when he was during his first term. And you could see here more than 1,000 years ago, explorer Leif Erikson, son of Iceland and grandson of Norway, sailed with his crew to Newfoundland, Nova Scotia, and perhaps even as far west as Maine. Okay, so this is important because if you saw my last video, who is Leif Erikson? Well, his father founded Greenland. Again, they'll say, oh, the Inuit this. No, there was nobody on the island. There's evidence for that. He created it. Leif Erikson's father, Eric the Red, also is responsible for it becoming Christian. Now, Leif Erikson's father, Eric the Red, decided he did not want to convert, but the island did for like 300, 400 years. Then the Inuit, it seems that the Vikings and the Inuit had problems. So after the Vikings fell away, the Inuit came in, and even though today there's Christianity there seemed to have been some lapse for hundreds of years. And even in 1733, there was somebody that went there, a missionary, and he spent 15 years in Greenland trying to, get the remnant of the Vikings, whoever was left. Like, you used to be, you were Christian, what happened? And it did no good, and he felt that, he had prayed to God, why would you send me on this mission when it was going to be failed? While other countries aren't suffering the smallpox like Greenland was and isn't suffering all these harsh conditions, why, and you're saving other countries, why not Greenland? Well, God has timing for doing things in his way. I would say maybe there's a couple of things here, okay? So God knows that everyone has been deceived by the false prophet. People stop being as deceived by the false prophet, the Vatican, when God started waking some people up in the 16 and 1700s and pushing them here. Greenland, however, they were so loyal to the Pope and saw the Pope as, like the incarnation of God almost back then, that I don't know if it was with Leif Erikson, but, and again, you can't blame the people because they're not trying to upset Jesus. God knows that. But that's why the millennial king happened, because that's the biggest false prophet there is. People still being deceived by it. So they were so loyal, though. And yet they were independent Christian too, though. So that's what's so confusing. But there was a period where they were so loyal that even though they didn't have gold and silver, they wanted to support the Pope in his crusade missions. So they would send ivory tusks, and they would send the skins of polar bears to say, we stand with you during the crusades. I have a feeling, that kind of maybe that's the reason why in 1733, even though this missionary hands went there to try to call them back, he felt like what was the point? And, sometimes it's because it's in God's timing. And because in the Old Testament it talks about the North Islands, okay, you could look at Scotland, their isles have fallen in this category in some ways. I mean, biblically speaking, the Isle of Man, the Isle of Lewis, the Isle of Skye. However, Greenland is the most farthest north. So when Donald Trump, I promise not to do this to Greenland. Yet even though the media lies so much about this man, they don't even tell about his royal lines going all the way back to having a rightful claim of Greenland. He does. Okay? And I'll get to that in a minute. But this is a higher calling. And he'll get Greenland because God wants Greenland with America. Because it's all about the hemispheres. That's what you have to understand, is it's all about the hemispheres. How many hemispheres are there? There's 4 hemispheres. They are the same thing as in the Bible, the 4 corners of the earth. So where this gets interesting is everybody's heard how UK, France, Denmark, all these people are our allies, right? I know that many people likely would agree with me. With allies like this, who needs friends at all, okay? Because in a heartbeat, it seems like they'll just stab America in the back. This whole Greenland, they're all railing together, all the European nations, and it's like, good luck there. You haven't learned a damn thing. But what you need to understand why is because they're bridge countries, meaning part of their country is in the Western Hemisphere and part of it is in the Eastern. Who do they seem to serve more? The Eastern. That's why they've let their countries just be totally, their immigration just totally change their culture. Well, yeah, when you continue to be under the false prophet, that's what will happen. And what did King Charles do not in the last year? Oh, let's bring the Vatican back to the Church of England. The very thing that God had happened, so the fallout would then create America. So that's where America is very important in all this history. So God is tying up these hemispheres, because at the end, these hemispheres, the other ones, come against the one, the saints. And the saints that's the Western Hemisphere. But there's not going to be a battle because God just destroys them with fire. I mean, I don't know that he'll destroy all those countries, but he's going to destroy Satan and his armies. I don't know how Trump doesn't lose his patience. Well, I know he loses his patience with the media, but I would be just livid over how much they lie about him. So this is something that our media, our AI, doesn't want to tell you the truth about. This was the Iceland Monitor. Iceland is the best for doing ancestry because they've been around forever. Okay? These were experts that did this. It just doesn't serve our media here because really he's royalty in Norway. He would be considered a son of Norway. He's referred to himself as that. Why? Because the son of Norway term ties back to King Olaf. King Olaf goes to Olaf the Black. That's part of the same line. That goes to the MacLeods. And King Olaf is the one that sent Leif Erikson to Greenland. And Leif Erikson's father had already founded Greenland when it was empty. But then Leif Erikson had converted when he went to Norway, and King Olaf was so impressed with him, he sent him to Greenland, his home country, to convert, and he did convert them. So this all plays a very important role because God's calling them back. Yes, he was upset for a while, and when he sent that missionary there in 1733, he spent 15 years trying to convert Greenland, and they weren't going to convert. So God, he lets you stay out for 70 years. It's just the way he does things. But now he's calling them back. He's calling all back. And you could see that's true because Trump's trying to tie up the Western Hemisphere. Not because he's trying to have some claim over everything, but technically he does have a rightful claim here. I don't think that he would ever say that because he just isn't like that. However, I'm sure behind closed doors, he's probably like, listen, you fuckers, you know who I am. Because I think he respects Norway. He respects, because he's related to these people, okay? He is an elite, but he's not. So I'm going to have to follow this up more because it's in detail. I'm sorry. It's just trying to tie it all up. But ultimately, he has the most right to Greenland, and he's not looking for it because of resources or wanting to, I own all the land, I'm a dictator. No, it's for a higher calling. There's a reason that he wanted this proclamation about Leif Erikson Day, because it went back to him relatives found in Greenland.